Yeah. Okay, I'm uploading her video now.
Okay.
Oh shit, it's wanting to say in broadcast. Let me edit. Is there anyone new with us? Did you hear that? Can you tell us your name? Did you live here? Did you die here? Do you want to take a trip?
Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to Strange Journeys Podcast Live. We are here on Halloween. So happy Halloween out there, everybody. We know you're busy. We've been busy out here, too. It's great to see that Tom is back here with us in the background. We're going to have a
Yes,
little
I'm here.
episode. We're here. That's right. So that's a good thing. It's going to be a little different. We're going to play some videos. We'll talk about not a whole lot, just one experience that has had in Topeka as our recent sighting. I'm covering a phone on the camera. I'm trying to adjust my screen here, so we've got that set right where we need it to be. We do appreciate you, our watchers, and we just want you to know that this is filmed live. So everything that's going on, my camera in the middle of my thumb in the middle of the camera. That's the way it goes.
And running a few minutes late. So,
Right.
and I mean, that's just one of those things with a live show. We're still trying to upload some videos we want to share, which reminds me, I need to go check my email. Beth, one of our ETs, said she had an email, but I don't see it. So, Beth, if you're watching, we'll have to figure out some other way to get that to us. But I did want to say thank you for all the love and prayers and support that has been shown to my family during this strange time. We're on a strange journey I never expected to be on, and I hope and pray none of you ever have to experience the same thing. If you don't know, it was a little over 3 weeks ago I lost my 31-year-old son, and we believe to a massive stroke. But we go on. We all continue to live our strange journeys. And this is a strange one. And thank you again for all the love and support. And Tim and Andrea and all the ETs have just stepped up to the plate here. And we're going to do our best to tell you some spooky stories today because it is Halloween Day. But I think before we go to that, Tim wanted to tell you about something that's just recently happened. Are you ready?
This is exactly what we're going to talk about. One of the points of the Topeka tour, when we do the downtown Topeka tour, is a place called the Jayhawk Theater. It was built in 1926. The first death inside the Jayhawk Theater actually occurs in 1933. You've got a woman who commits suicide. Her name was Sharon.
Wow.
She was part of a traveling musical coming through the Topeka area, and she was released from the theater company. She found out recently that she was pregnant. She would have been an unwed mother in 1933. That would have meant that she was ostracized from the community, especially being unwed like she was. So she commits suicide inside the Jayhawk Theater. They're in the process of renovating this building. It's approximately $6.2 million is what they need to finish the renovations on it. It's had a lot of damage. Historically, it's the first theater in the United States to have central air conditioning. Now, to have central air conditioning in 1926 meant they took a giant block of ice and they dropped it in front of the fans and blew the condensation through the building. So you can imagine the damage that has been done to this building. And it was still in operation until 1988. In 89, there were 40 cars parked on the floor of the theater. They'd gotten rid of all the chairs. I mean, it just huge amounts of damage. And so it's neat to see what's going on. Last night at midnight, they showed the Rocky Horror Picture Show to a live audience. They had a group that came in at 11:30. They taught them all the dances and all the different words and everything else that they're supposed to shout. I have no idea. I've never seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, so don't get mad at me for that, people. You know,
well, me either. I'm right there with you. I love Tim Curry, but I couldn't go there.
Right. So what happened last night is as they were doing their setup, the event coordinator there at the Jayhawk Theater, her name is, I'm going to pull up my information here from her because she pulled this for me. It's actually Bob Rouse, who is with the visittopeka.com, got together with me earlier today to deliver this photo to me. The lady is named Sharon Boast, who took this photo. She is the event coordinator at the Jayhawk Theater. So this is taken from the stage as they're doing the setup. She wanted to see what it was going to look like from the stage in the middle of the night last night as it got dark inside the theater. And if you look real close, and we've got this double circle, they put the chairs in place because they've got they're like office type chairs, plastic ones that they move in and out of the theater at this point. But there is a woman sitting in one of the chairs.
Wow.
There was nobody in the theater except for herself and 3 other members of the staff, all of whom are male. But you can actually see what looks like a woman sitting in the chair.
Yeah.
She took this picture, like you said, from the stage looking down.
Wow.
When she took the picture, but as she went back to her picture, she could actually see that person sitting in the chairs. So they're super excited about having seen that. It's interesting because this is the same description that I get occasionally from the staff of the Jayhawk Theater, who tell me they see a woman in the building all the time. In fact, usually about 11, 12 o'clock at night, they see a woman that runs up the stairs to the balcony level, and those stairs are chained off to the public currently. They've been that way for a couple of years now. There's nothing to prevent you from falling from the balcony. In fact, if you look at the very top of that, you can see the edge of the balcony. There's no railing there to prevent you from falling down. It's a 40-foot drop down to the floor below. But this was just a really cool picture to have seen as she was delivering that to me.
Well, you reminded me, and I'm going back to find it right now, but Al Luna shared a similar picture just yesterday, I believe it was, of a recent one they had gotten on an investigation they did. I tell you what, the easiest way, the quickest way is going to be to share the screen. So let me do this.
Right.
I'm going to go over and show you. This is what he shared yesterday. Now, if you look, everybody, how many people do you see in the picture?
One moment. We've got that other picture up. Let me drop it.
Oh,
there we go.
Okay. How many people do you see in that picture?
I've got 5 there.
There were only 4.
Right.
And that one on the left, it's like somebody was moving into frame as the picture was being taken.
Right.
But that was just shared with Al Luna with Paranormal Spirit Encounter Investigations. When was that? Yeah, yesterday.
Wow, that's
So
fantastic.
they were kind of stoked about that. But that's what that reminded me of when you were sharing that picture. That was an amazing pic. Put that back up there a second.
Certainly. Let me pull this back up here. Yeah, they weren't expecting to see this at all with that woman sitting down in the chairs.
No.
You know, in fact, they sent me video from last week
Yeah.
of a. They sent me pictures last week of orbs in the same area as they were tearing things apart, and I'm thinking, well, you're just tearing things down. But these were odd blue lights. I mean, they weren't like just they looked more like a blue light that was flashing out in the distance. So I was like, man, I don't know what that is, but.
Well, if you notice, I popped up there a couple of times. Somebody said that's a woman, all right, and I think they were talking about this picture.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. And if I had thought about it, of course, my brain's been other places. It'd been cool to have Al on here,
right.
to share his as well. But because of technical glitches in the past few months, we're broadcasting. On our Facebook page, Strange Journeys Live Stream Podcast, our Strange Friends group, and on YouTube. The reason I do that is because for some reason the page has just glitched on us before. So so I go ahead and do it on both just to be on the safe side. But I don't know why StreamYard does this. They've never answered my question. But if you're watching in our group, Strange Friends, you have to go to their Facebook page and give StreamYard permission to use your name before your comments or before your name can be seen by us. We see the comments, but if it's coming from the group, we just see the Facebook user like this.
Right. Yeah.
But that's Christina, which is Christina's birthday. Happy birthday, Christina. Thank you for tuning in. We certainly appreciate that. But and appreciate you commenting. Anybody else that's out there, if you would comment, we'd certainly appreciate that. Anything else from that?
There's not there on that side. You know, I thought I'd kick us off. We're going to show some stories that are ETs recorded this week, scary stories, whether they're true or not. We wanted to celebrate Halloween with you with some scare that is out there. I'm going to kick us off, though. And I'm going to tell you the truth behind how Tom and I met. He didn't know that I was going to do this. So let's make this very clear. A few years ago, Tom and I were both traveling opposite directions, and it just happened to be that we were in Alabama, in northern Alabama, just crossing through in the same area on a real dark and stormy night. And as we were crossing through, both of our vehicles broke down, which was odd enough. You know, to me, this sounded like the beginning of a good horror movie. You know, got to have that accident that happens there. And off in the distance, we can see a house that is sitting out there. There's some lights coming from inside the house. And we think, well, if we go out there, you know, we can certainly get somebody at least to call us a tow truck. So the two of us actually walk out there, introduce ourselves, and when we get to the house, we find out there's nobody there. So we spend some time just looking around, don't find a phone anyplace, and without a cell phone signal, it doesn't do us a whole lot of good. So we decided the best thing that we could do is probably camp out for the night right in the living room. They had a nice fireplace. We built a fire in there, grabbed some sleeping bags out of vehicles and some pillows. Tom brought his guitar, and I got to tell you, he's probably one of the best guitarists I've seen in a very long time, and just spent some time visiting. And as we prepared to fall asleep for the night, we could hear something that came walking across the porch from the outside, and you could just hear the footsteps as they came with the thump, thump, thump. And the door pushes open. And as he and I are standing there, we see this huge, hairy creature. It had to be at least 10 foot tall because it was ducking down into the door to see us. And he looks at us and he says, "Do you want to see what I can do with my big, hairy hand and my fat, juicy lips?" And of course, being horror people that we are, we automatically assume this thing's going to eat us. So the first thing that we do is we run into the very closest room that we can get there, and it's a bedroom. We're shoving the furniture up against the door, trying to keep it to do it, and we can hear those same footsteps coming towards the bedroom. Thump, 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 thump. And this thing obviously was pretty strong. We've got a chest of drawers and a great big wardrobe pushed against her. We'd have moved the bed too, but it was a little bit heavy for us. And this thing just shoves the door open. You can just hear the furniture sliding. And it looks at us and says, I've changed my mind. Do you want to see what I can do with just 2 of my big, hairy fingers and my fat, juicy lips? And I'm thinking, this is not a good thing. And the only place that we've got to go is right into the bathroom, and there's no window in this bathroom to get out of. Tom's over there trying to wash himself down the drain of the tub, and I've got a foot in the toilet flushing as fast as I can, hoping maybe that'll help us escape. And this thing just opens the door, and it says, I changed my mind again. You want to see what I can do with my fat, hairy finger and my fat, juicy lips? And without any place else to go, Tom and I finally went, you know what? Okay, I guess you're going to have to show us anyway. And this creature says, look, watch carefully. Tom probably doesn't want to recall that incident very often.
No. But I'm so glad this is a family show, because that could have gone any direction. Hey, I had a well, we'll just go ahead into the intro then on that note. I like doing the little videos.
Right.
So I didn't know.
All right.
I didn't know if I was going to feel up to being on the show today. And I told the guys earlier it was going to be a game time decision. But my lovely wife, Lynn, felt like it would be good for me to get back on here and share some stories. Now, I don't know how much you've got, Tim, but I found this morning, I shared this with y'all. I actually did publish a book about 10 years ago, not a real physical book like Tim has done, but I did do a Kindle book called Ramblings and Other Little Journeys, and it was just a compilation of things I had written over the years, and I'd remembered a couple of little dark, strange poems that I had done. I wanted to share those on the show, but in doing so, I remembered where I had put my very first writing notebook, and this is it right here. This is from like 1980. I mean,
right.
It's fallen to pieces, and I just got everything stuck in there. But I found the original writings of these things I was going to share. But what did you want to do first?
Well, let's go ahead and share those, and then we'll jump into some videos with Andrea. And I know Beth put one in there. I know Dagny's got one as well, so we can share their scary stories there. They're still trying to get Elizabeth. So.
Yeah. Let's see. She's uploading it to her drive. She's never shared anything. Be patient. So she's trying to get hers uploaded to Google Drive so we can share it with y'all. Because I can download it. But the best way to play it is to be on here.
Right.
Well, in my senior year of high school, which I'm the old guy here, I graduated from high school in 1982, which I know I look 10 times older than that.
I don't think so.
I tell people I look pretty damn good for 95. So, which some days it feels like I'm closer to that.
Right.
But in my senior year, I've lived a strange life. Okay. I was the son of a preacher man, and my daddy was a Methodist pastor for years up until the 80s, or late 70s. And the I don't know if this is the same in other states, but in Mississippi, the Methodist pastors moved about every 2 years.
Right.
So we'd get settled into a place and then be uprooted. So we're moving back and forth, moving on a regular basis every couple of years. And somebody's making some smoothies.
Dishwasher draining at the.
Oh, okay. It sounded like a smoothie machine, a blender going on in the background. But the weird, and I'm trying to, and I'm at that age where I'm, and especially with recent events, I'm trying to get not necessarily writing a book so that people can know all about my life, because it's not been a very eventful. I mean, it's had events, but I mean, I'm not a celebrity. I'm not anything big, but just trying to get everything down, set down so that I don't forget, because that is an issue in my family as they get older, dementia and Alzheimer's. And I pray that doesn't happen to me, but I just want to be on the safe side. But so I'd started to school in Tennessee. I went to kindergarten and first grade in a little town called Decaturville, Tennessee, where our ET Tommy lives at. Tommy Pratt lives in the town, and we never met. And I've lived there 4 or 5 times throughout my life. And I knew a bunch of Pratts, but I never knew Tommy. But I hate that. Anyway, we were there for 2 years, and then my dad got sent back to Mississippi. And then just before the summer before my senior year of high school, my dad got moved back to Tennessee to actually take a position in a different church. But the point of that little rabbit trail is that I had to take certain classes my senior year to be able to graduate under the Tennessee guidelines. And because I had excelled in certain areas, they put me in an advanced English class. Wow. I can't even hear myself now. It sounds like a vacuum cleaner. It's a strange show, folks. Strange Halloween. Anyway, I had taken advanced English class to be able to graduate, and the advanced English class was technically a writing class. We didn't go over nouns and verbs and adjectives and all that kind of stuff. This was beyond. This was more supposedly a college level class, and what we would do most days, the teacher would write a sentence on the board and go ... and we would finish the story. We had to write a page, and then as we finished, we'd take it up. She'd grade it, make any suggestions, any grammatical errors, corrections, and that kind of thing. And so it was really where I kind of began to put the things out of my head down on paper when I really began to write. And I had never done that before. The assignment one day was emotions with a word. And the teacher wrote the word death on the board, and we had to write a 4-line, you wouldn't really call it a poem, but it's not a haiku. I'd even have to go back to look it up to see what it is. But this is what I wrote in 1980, the fall of 1981. Death, tall black form walking my way, the stench of rot coming on before. Dark bells toll the coming doom. Should I go? I sing confused. And the next was the word loneliness. Loneliness, as a giant, devoid of color, the lingering smell of a musty old room, and the silence ringing in my ear. It brings to me a mild sense of fear. So that was just 2 of the things that I wrote in my senior English class. I'm going to hold the next one and do a little something different. We'll come back to that one. Okay.
Right, not a problem at all. One of the things that we were doing this time is we weren't sure where we were going. Lots of things have happened with everybody. With the ETs, and of course, Halloween is probably one of the busiest times of the year for lots of us. Been super busy for me this year. I know it's been busy for Tom with the issues going on in his life and what's going on. So what we wanted to do is have the ETs each tell a story for you. We're going to jump into Andrea's story here real quick. Like I said, this is a ghost story. It may not be true. It may be true. Who knows which one we've got going on.
Before you share, let me just share a little caveat. She got me her video last night, so I was able to do a little not editing on her story, but making an edited video about it.
Right.
And when Dagny's gets around, I didn't have time to because I just got it uploaded as the show was starting. So he's going to share Andrea's story. I just wanted you, because hers is more polished. Dagny's isn't, and it's my fault. I just didn't have time to get it done.
Okay, so I have one really quick short ghost story. This one is not my personal experience ghost story, and I can't really say that it's true, but my grandma told me this story, and it's a really quick story, but it scared the snot out of me when I was a child. So, my grandmother grew up in the foothills of the Appalachian Mountains in Kentucky, and she told me that her mother, my great-grandmother, Hazel, when she was a little girl living in the one-bedroom cabin deep in the mountains, she had a couple friends stay the night. And it was in the autumn months, school had just begun when this slumber party took place. So there they are sitting in front of the fireplace, and imagine a true cabin, wooden cabin, and there are little girls. And so this probably took place around the 1910s, 1920s. These are tiny, very innocent young girls. And what do they do to entertain themselves? They sung a conjuring song, like a song that conjures spirits. I asked my grandmother, do you know what the song is? I want to make sure I never sing it. It's not like a nursery rhyme song, is it? And she's like, no, my mommy wouldn't tell me what it is. Thank God. Anyways, so there they were, singing this conjuring song to entertain themselves. These little girls, no more than 9, 10, 11 years old. And it's nighttime, and they hear something at the door. Now, wooden cabin, wooden door, no deadbolt for a lock. There's literally just kind of like a latch, and then this hole that goes under the latch that they would stick this piece of wood through to kind of lock it. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Anyways, as the girls looked over at the door because they heard a noise, a long, gray, deathly finger worked its way into the hole and then started to feel around on the inside of the door as if trying to lift the latch. Needless to say, all of the girls lost their ever-loving mind and screamed at the top of their lungs, waking up her mommy and daddy. And so they come out of bed, one bedroom, cabin. They rise up out of bed, asking what the commotion was, and they said there's somebody on the front porch, and they're trying to get in. Could be a mountain man, could be a ghost, could be anything. So my great-grandmother's father got his gun and went out front, opened up the cabin door and went onto the patio, front porch. And the hunting dog that slept there at the door, sound asleep. There was no footsteps. There were no signs of anything. That's my dog for sound effect purposes. It was like there was nothing there. But my great-grandmother swore, and my grandmother swore for my great-grandmother, that this really did happen. That they sung a conjuring spell and a hate tried to get into their cabin.
Wow. Wow. What'd she say? About 1910, 1920, somewhere in there? Yeah. You're muted.
Yeah, 1920s, living up in the mountains somewhere.
Oh my goodness. And they saw this long gray finger sticking through the door.
Right. Trying to pull the latch.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, a conjuring song kind of makes me want to do a research on Appalachian conjuring songs. Of the early
that's what I was thinking
1900s.
too. It's like you got to wonder what conjuring song they were using, because I know here, last week before, one of there's a group called Kansas Ghost Tours that it's been out there for years prior to us getting out here, but they haven't functioned in like the last 2 years. This year they were in Topeka, and I know they were doing some conjuring where they were trying to draw a spirit into the building they were in. I thought it was, man, this is kind of disturbing. They've done this, but they were using some song, is what somebody told me, and I'm like, what song? Oh, I've never heard it before. So I was like, gotta wonder.
Well, it's kind of like the Bloody Mary legend. What was it? Somebody posted a meme about standing in front of your or sitting in your car looking in the side view mirror. What does she do when she appears? Especially if you're sitting on the side of the road and you're saying Bloody Mary, and a truck comes by.
I only did that one time as a kid, and I remember I was probably only about 6 or 7 years old, and I was spending the night in a friend's house, but we're standing in the bathroom, and the little boy was Timmy Rayford. Timmy and I were good friends when we were little, and we're standing in the bathroom. We're doing that. And all of a sudden, out of nowhere, his mother is in we got to the third Bloody Mary. You got your eyes closed because you're supposed to keep your eyes closed while you're spinning in circles. And I remember his mother going, "What are you two boys doing in here?"
Yeah. Cut that out. It gives you the sign of
course,
the
we're
evil eye.
screaming our heads off at that point. Bloody Mary's in the mirror with us, except it's not. It's his mom.
It's mom. Well, that could be a good deterrent there. I wanted to go back and correct. It was Christina Rasmussen, Kent's wife, that chimed up a while ago. But Christine Rogers has also chimed in, and it's her birthday. So happy birthday again, Christine, to the correct Christine. And, letting us know she's watching. Again, it doesn't tell me. It says it's her, so she must be watching on the page instead of the group. We put a little shout out, happy birthday, happy strange birthday to her.
Happy strange birthday to Christine Rogers. We're still looking forward to getting her back on this show to talk about her paranormal writings that she's done. Yeah, because she's done some fiction books. I'm in the middle of the very first one I've read, and I'm enjoying it so far. So
well, good. Yeah, she's got 2 out, trying to finish up her 3rd, from what I heard. I was hoping to get her on for today's show since it's her birthday, but she had birthday plans for the weekend, which I understand. Let's see. Let me see if this works. Go on with the next one. Elizabeth has sent me her video. I've got to go over to another site to find it.
We're going to jump in. Yeah, we'll jump into that here real quick. This is going to be Dagny's video that she's got going for us.
Happy Halloween. Coming to you from the beautiful beach of Perdido Key. near Pensacola, Florida. Happy Halloween, and I'm going to tell you about something that happened to me about, I think it was maybe 6 years ago. My mom and I have always done paranormal investigations together, not professionally, just on our own, because we've always been attracted to spirits. Things always happen around us, and so we're like, let's get some gear and actually go do some investigations. So we went to J Cemetery, and that is J, Florida. No, I'm sorry, the cemetery's name was Coon Hill. And it was so haunted there. Every single time we went, we got plenty of photos, we got plenty of videos, we got everything, EVP, every single time. And we decided to go investigate that place again for the maybe 4th time. And it's a half-mile walk from your car up a dirt road to the cemetery in the middle of the woods, in the middle of a very, very small town. It's very secluded. And we get there, we walk up the half mile, we get into Coon Hill Cemetery. We have our videos going, we're taking pictures, we got the EVP running. We kept the EVP running the entire time. And one of the guys that was with us took that EVP and went walking all around the cemetery and talking and seeing if he could get something. My brother and I walked around and were taking some photos, and my mom was doing her thing off to the other side. And suddenly I felt like I was being crushed. Like someone, like a big man, was wrapped around my chest, just holding me as tight as possible, like trying to keep me from breathing. And I've never had that feeling before. And I told my brother, I was like, we need to go. We need to get out of here. And he did probably what I would do too. He took a picture. So I was like, I can't breathe and you're going to stand there and take a picture? But anyway, I'm glad he did. The photo came back. It was me with bright orange, fluorescent orange, like vapor all the way around my chest and my back. Well, because of the technology now, you can look at the photos right away. We saw that, and I was like, yeah, we need to get out of here. So I was still really out of breath, and I didn't know where my mom went. We got the other guy, we're heading towards the entrance, and there's my mom on the outside of the entrance, laying on the ground, throwing up, like, incredibly, like, wouldn't stop. Constant. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm a paramedic. I'm, whoa, Mom, what's wrong? I go to try to care for her. And she said she had to crawl out of the cemetery because something was attacking her. And we finally got her to calm down, just chill out. And she was still a little sick. We made the half-mile walk back to the car. Well, just before I had walked over to her, as I was leaving the cemetery arch, I felt this burning down the back of my calf. Just intense burning, like a really bad cat scratch. And it was just the whole back of my calf. And I had jeans, long jeans on, I had thick socks on. I was dressed to be going out in the middle of the woods on a cool night, okay? We get back to the car, and I barely even paid attention. I was like, oh my God, that sucks. I figured it's Florida, I got bit by some real weird bug or something. We get back to the car, and I had to take my pants off just to be able to see it because my jeans wouldn't come up. And I take them off and look, and I have 3 scratches dragged down my calf, just open, bleeding. I have no idea what that was about. Well, so we got out of that cemetery. We drove away. And the next day we decided to go over the EVP recordings. We're like, maybe something might tell us what was going on, why things went so badly. And it did. Come to find out, as we're playing it back, the boy that we had brought with us was more of a just friend of my brother, doesn't really understand investigations and stuff. He was walking around trying to instigate and irritate the spirits on purpose. He's like, yeah, we're here to destroy your graves. But he went off by himself and was saying all this quietly, and they were responding in some very horrible things back. And we didn't know any of this because he was off far away from us, and that's when we all started getting attacked, and we had to get out of there. I will one day go back there, but never with someone I don't trust again. Happy Halloween, guys.
All right. Tim had to step off for a second. Somebody was calling his name. But that was amazing from Dagny. Why is it? Comment if you've got some thoughts on the stories we've shared. But why is it that when scratches occur, it's always 3? You know, I mean, if a human being is fighting or whatnot, and they go to scratch, there's usually going to be at least 4, sometimes 5. But why is it in paranormal situations where people get scratched that it's 3? Most times. I've seen the rare occasion where it was 1 or 2, but most times it's 3 scratches. And she had 3 scratches, and she said it was still bleeding. But that was amazing. Dagny, thank you for sharing that. And the thing about the orange aura that was surrounding you, that was amazing. But okay, well, Tim is back. I had muted you while you were gone. So Tim is back. I had just asked the question, Tim. Why? Let me get your thoughts on this, because I really don't know. Dagny had 3 scratches down the back of her leg. And she said we're still bleeding by the time she got her pants off and could check it. Why is it in most paranormal situations it's 3 scratches? Because, like I said, if you're defending yourself or attacking someone, it'd be 4, maybe 5 scratches per hand. But most cases in paranormal situations where people are scratched, it's 3. I've seen 1 or 2, but most times it's 3. What are your thoughts? We have
Ed Warren years ago, from Ed and Lorraine Warren, used to say the reason behind that is it's an attack against the Trinity. Usually it is something that is, and you can see, somebody made this the comment, one of our Facebook users, Trinity, Father, Son, and Holy Spirit, whatever scratched them is mocking the Bible or mocking God. Ed Warren would say the same thing, that anytime something occurs in 3s, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning, if it's 3 knocks, it's an attack against the Trinity. And he would teach that it was demonic. I don't know that that's always true, but I think that it's, fairly common more often than it is to be, single scratches or 3 scratches, not, 4 or 5. It's Andrea in the background.
Hey, Andrea. Hey, Andrea. Thank you for showing up. We've already played your video, so if you weren't here then, sorry. you can catch the replay. Which reminds me, to back up a little bit, we were talking about Christina Rasmussen watching. I'm working on next week's Revisited show, which is would be our first ghost hunting show, and which our first ghost hunting show featured her husband Kent, from Salem Paranormal and Mysteries of the Paranormal and Beyond podcast. So I'm working on getting that set up for next weekend for a revisited show. And I just wanted to mention that because Christina, his wife, has already been on here. So hope y'all can check that out next Saturday. But anyway, we were talking about the 3 scratches. When she mentioned that, and you did, I have heard that before. But the more I dig into and learn about the paranormal, of course, I've always been a questioner.
Right.
And what I mean by that is I question everything, and people have gotten mad at me for doing it. You know, and I won't get into theology, but especially in the church, when I question the Bible on a couple of things, they're like, "Oh, no, 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 no." You know,
Right.
you can't question the Bible. Why not? Is God big enough to handle the questions or not? You know, I mean, again, I'm not wanting to get into a theological discussion, but I
let's not
question.
go down that path because I was about
Yeah,
to chase that rabbit. We don't want to
yeah,
go there.
we could go there. I just again, that's why I question. I had forgotten that I had heard that about mocking the Trinity, but and I understand numerology and what the number 3 represents and that kind of thing, but I still question, you know, but because that's my nature.
Right.
But all right, what else you got, Tim?
I've got one more scary story here for you. This one
right.
is from the town of Burlingame that I live in. It was posted to the History Geeks here just a little while ago from the Burlingame History Geeks. And the gentleman talks about the old Burlingame Cemetery. Now, Burlingame Cemetery actually sits just about a little bit more than a mile from my house. I mean, it's not very far down the road at all. The cemetery graves at that location date even from the 1850s when Kansas becomes a territory. Burlingame is one of the original cities that starts here. However, he talks about the old Burlingame Cemetery or Council City Cemetery. Burlingame wouldn't be renamed until 1856, I think it is. Before then, it was a place called Council City. And so that cemetery actually sits a little bit more than a mile west of the town, on top of the hills. And they call it a lonely piece of prairie is what they're still calling it today. Most of those burials are between 1855, 1865. There's still about 25 tombstones that are out there of people that were never moved. However, he talks about, let me see if I can see this. The very first execution in the state of Kansas actually happens here in the city of Burlingame, and it happens in 1858. It's a young man that steals a horse, and he rides off on the horse. When the sheriff tracks him down, he comes back to the city of Burlingame. The sheriff brings him back to the city of Burlingame. The sheriff then goes to Topeka to find a judge to rule over what's going to happen. In the process of this happening, the young man then, who is now in the custody of the sheriff's father, kills the father and rides off. A second time he makes an escape and they capture him, they bring him back. The interesting part about this is, like I said, this is the first legal hanging in the state of Kansas. They use a building that still exists today, and that building would eventually become the Burlingame Elementary School. They are still building the archway over the top of the door. At this point, they haven't put up walls. They want to put the initial arch in place, and they use that archway and hang him from the archway of the school. That's a real scary situation. But they buried this young man that committed murder in an unknown location. The guy that is reporting this says that it happens at that original old Burlingame Cemetery, or the Council City Cemetery, is where he's buried in an unmarked grave. What he says is that each Halloween night, as you get out and visit the city of Burlingame, be aware that spirits walk our streets more than we ever imagined. Remember, a murder in 1933 will result in a ghost that continues to haunt the city. Buildings here in town are still built with the original buckboards from wagons as they cross the prairies. Footsteps are heard inside of a house just outside of town. The original mayor's house still stands where it was from 1854, overlooking what was once the city's park. Often ghosts are seen there inside the city park, looking up at the parapet, watching what is going on at the house. But be mostly aware of the old Council City Cemetery, because it is here that you will see the spirit of a young man sitting forlorn on his tombstone, watching over the things happening at night, because he would be the first to be killed for legal actions here in the city of Burlingame.
Wow.
He continues to haunt the graveyard to this day.
Oh my. And it was a school originally, right?
It was a school originally. It will eventually become the first public school in the city of Burlingame. It still stands today. It's still a standing building. It's now a museum. But
Wow.
they hung him from the archway that would eventually become the doorway into the school. Which is
Wow.
interesting because years and years ago, I used to volunteer at this particular museum just to watch what was going on. And I remember somebody coming in from the 1930s. This was an old man. And he reached the back of the building and he said, "This is the back of the original building," and refused to come up the steps into the new wing, which the new wing was built back in the 50s. And he said,
Wow.
"This was my school." And he told me that he would, as a child, see a man hanging in front of the doors as he was walking up to the school. And I went,
oh my goodness.
In my mind, I connected it. I didn't tell him that there had actually been somebody hung from the school archway.
Yes. Oh man. While we were talking, I just remembered that I've got another one from my book I'd like to read for y'all.
Right.
And it's a little longer, but it's basically a story told in prose. In other words, I had basically written it to make it a song in the vein of Charlie Daniels' Legend of Woolly Swamp. But I was raised down at the end of a road called Basin Road in the Basin community of South Mississippi, south of Loosedale. There was an old school there. And I'll just read the story. It's called Basin Road.
Sounds good. Let's go that direction.
Okay. Down at the end of Basin Road sat my grandpa's farm, and when we were kids, we used to play in his old hay barn. Now, I never did hear of anyone come to any harm, but I've seen and heard some things that stay with me in my dreams down at the end of Basin Road. Like I said, our favorite place to play was in that barn of hay, until on a particular night, my cousin and I thought we'd die of fright. We saw a glowing man standing in the barn, didn't stop running till we were off the farm. Never played down there again, haven't talked about it since then. Only later did I find the barn had been a church at one time. On a foggy night in the middle of June, clouds so thick it blurred that Mississippi moon. It was the final stop of Jeremiah Dixon's run, when at Refuge Chapel he faced Sheriff Kane's gun. 2 shots rang out as one. With that, the fight was done. 2 pools of blood soaked the ground where 2 strong men went down. Some say it was an omen, others fate, that these 2 men met destiny's date. 'Cause Sheriff Kane was a praying man, a church seemed right for his final stand. Legends come and legends go, but for over 100 years people still know that on certain nights in June, if you are near, in that chapel by the road, 2 shots like one you'll hear. I've heard the stories and I've heard the tales, but what I saw on Basin Road makes them all pale. As a grown man, I came back to where we'd play. The way it leaned, it would never again hold hay. I had to know for sure if what I'd heard was seen or true. Needed to see for myself what I really already knew. The clouds passed in front of the moon on that foggy night in June. I stepped inside and heard steps other than my own. For a moment I was frozen solid as a stone. Then my blood seemed to turn to ice. The door behind me opened and the wind began to slice. I was pushed against the wall by an unseen hand. My legs began to shake, tried to fall, but made to stand. Saw a man at the door raising a gun. A man kneeling at the front turned like lightning on the run. Both shots rang out, and the 2 men vanished. Released from the wall, and in a panic, before I could run, I looked to the floor to see 2 pools of blood slowly spreading before me, down at the end of Basin Road. No. that and one more, and I'm done.
All right.
But I don't know if you remember personnel paranormal stories, but that's part of what I shared.
Right. I was going to ask. That was part of what you had shared earlier when we first started. What's it been? Almost a year and a half ago now, at least.
Right.
But that is really a great view back on what brings you into to becoming so interested in the paranormal. I think.
Yeah. Well, again, as a writer, you know this, Tim. I always share this as a songwriter. I either tell my story, I tell
Right.
someone else's story, or I make up a story.
Right.
So that Basin Road, you just have to decide what was mine, somebody else's, or made up. All right, this last
Well,
one I wrote.
that's part of the great
Go
part
ahead.
about the strange journeys. That's part of the great part about the strange journeys is we enjoy your stories as you're sharing them with us out there as the watchers. Uh, but you can look at the photo that we shared earlier and go, oh, that's fake, but it really is about the personal story.
That's it. And I've had this thought, and I've mentioned it to the ETs in the past, but because I mean, just open and honest, guys, I've changed. I'm not. I can't say I've changed for the better or for the worse. Things are different inside me now.
Right.
I've not lost my desire for the paranormal or my intrigue, but it's changed. I've changed, and one thing I want to do with the show, not making this a hard fast rule, but we mentioned this early on. But I would like on every live show. Uh, we've had special guests and we've loved having those special guests, but they were more or less tuned in to whatever the subject matter was for that show. Do you understand? I want to start getting special guests on the show who are just normal people like us that dig this subject matter and may not have any expertise, but have, well, like I mentioned earlier, an intrigue and interest in it. And so going forward, I want to start incorporating that to get normal everyday people on here and letting them get in with the interaction and share personal experiences and things like that. Like when we had, oh, my mind just went blank. Paula
Right.
Markowitz, I think that's how you say her name.
Right.
Where she took that picture of what looked like a portal in her backyard.
Exactly.
Well, back in 1981, I wrote this little poem. It's not as long as Basin Road, but it's called "The Noise," and I was inspired by, of course, Edgar Allan Poe, and you'll see why. But also, this is kind of strange, but Simon and Garfunkel, "Sound of Silence." But this is called "The Noise." The noise that fills the room when no sound is present to boom. It rings in the ears like so many flown by years. It roars and tumbles as if thunder rumbled. Louder, louder, and now much more pronounced. While it flings itself hauntingly down to the depths of my soul, I want to cry out while I hear it roll. The noise is so lonely, my desire is to flee anywhere for a sound, so I won't have round that horrible noise that takes away all joys. The noise goes on like so many bad wrongs. I wish it would end so I wouldn't pretend about being sad and maybe going mad. The Noise. I wrote that in 1981. And like I said, I'm trying to compile that and some other things I've written recently. I shared the story on the Angel Show about being at God, my mind just went blank. A bay on St. John Islands where I thought I was drowning and then woke up on the deck of a sailboat, and that I don't know how I got there.
Right.
I finally sat down and written it all out, hopefully in a readable, format, because there were more details that I never shared on the show. Some you could say supernatural or paranormal aspect to the story there at the end that I never shared. Have really never shared openly, but it's in the story, and we're working on getting that done now. Tim, I was going to be picking your brain about how to even do a actual publication, because I like having a book.
Right.
I'm appreciative of Kindles, but
Right.
I personally enjoy holding a book in my hand, which
Exactly.
is why
I hear you.
which is why I have this right here, and it's sitting
Right.
on my desk. I got Elizabeth's books and Lewis's book. It's right here on my desk. So, because I like actual paperwork. What else did you want to do, Tim, before we do the closing video?
We're good today. I am so glad that you all joined us.
Yes, thank you.
Be aware that we're out there. If you guys want to contact us at Strange Journeys, you can email Tom. You could post to our Facebook page. We want to hear your stories as you're out there exploring. I know that I get a lot of them when I'm out on tours. I'm sure that when Tom was doing tours, he gets lots of personal stories too.
Yep.
And we want to continue to hear those while you're out there. I continue to share those. If you are out there and you're able to find it some way on the internet, I am on Fox 43 Topeka tonight at 10:30. For a half-hour special on Topeka ghost stories.
Nice.
So it took us about 2 weeks to get it filmed. We're excited that it's coming out. But it really comes down to, I got most of those from people sharing stories with me.
Well, we expect a link to be posted as soon as
I hope I can find it, because we don't.
Oh, okay.
We quit subscribing to regular television years ago,
Right.
and we live so far out in the country. I don't even know that I'm going to get to see it.
Well,
So,
I'm sure they'll post it on their website.
I'm hoping so. I sent him a message yesterday saying I'd like to have a DVD copy and rights to air it one time on Strange Journeys Podcast Live, so that everybody can see
That
what
would
we
be
did.
awesome.
So,
That would be awesome.
so
Well, we want to thank Andrea for sharing her video.
right, as well as Dagny.
Yes, especially Andrea did the flashlight beneath her face. Isn't that the way ghost stories are supposed to be told?
That's how they're supposed to be told, sitting around the campfire with that little
Yeah.
flashlight right underneath your face.
And Dagny, thank you. If we can get Elizabeth, we will make sure to post that one as soon as we get
Right.
get that set
Exactly.
up, and we'll have that for you. May even do it. It's kind of I don't know. We'll figure it out.
We'll
get
figure
that
out
to
something. I know that we're discussing something that's coming up in the future here soon. So we want you to be aware we're going to do something special here soon. And it's coming real close. You'll start seeing those on a regular basis as well. So
Yes. I'm glad you mentioned that. Yeah, the special little thing. Yeah.
right.
I'm sorry, my brain's been somewhere else. Thank you.
No,
for
I
reminding me.
understand. You have had a very rough time.
Yeah.
Know that just the watchers and the rest of the ETs
Yes.
out here, you've been in our thoughts and prayers constantly.
Yes, I know, and that is appreciated. I can't even say that enough. That doesn't even thank you and all that doesn't really cover the appreciation we feel. So, well, we can use the video now.
All
Closing
right,
video.
and jump in there to the closing video. I've got to go up here and figure out where it went.
Is there anyone here with us? Did you hear that? Can you tell us your name? Thank you,
Thank
guys.
you. We'll see you next time.
Strange Halloween. Oh,
Exactly.
Yep, we're glad you're here.
Right.
All right,
Certainly
bye-bye.
have a good Halloween out there. Enjoy it and stay safe.
All right. Yes. Bye-bye.